Hey everyone, Ryan from Miles here. I just wanted to talk about Purple Steel. I was going to do a write up. It's just easier for me to talk at a camera. So I heard of some thoughts. Wanted to just talk about this deck list. This was the Purple Steel deck that I played on Saturday of the PPG Denver event. I do have my Friday deck list as well. I played Purple Steel both Friday and Saturday with a couple of changes. Overall, went pretty well. I went 5-2 on Friday and then 6-3 on Saturday. I did actually go 6-2 in the 7 round event on Friday because of the Ravensburger Play Hub issue. But I did also have a no show on Saturday, so the math kind of evens out. I did go 11-5 with all of my losses being to either blue, purple, or green, blue. And it's like a 70-ish% win rate. It did beat the mirror, it did beat Amber Steel. I felt really good about it. I just wanted to talk about this deck and kind of get it out into the public because I think it's one of the best ways to be playing Purple Steel right now. Even though I do think that Purple Steel is becoming extremely poorly positioned as green blue and blue purple become more and more of the meta share. Those matchups just can be really, really hard if your opponent draws any better than average. You really need like your strength on three into some super aggressive openers to be able to close those out. And I just think it's a bad time for Purple Steel overall. But if you do like Purple Steel, if you do want to play Purple Steel, there's a lot of cards here that I just want to talk about, want to get out into the public and just like have them on people's radars to keep innovating on it and see if we can get something a little bit more interesting for Milwaukee. This is my favorite ink combination. Ever since Doc came out, I've really loved it. So I just wanted to talk about it. So yeah, first things first, let me just show you my Friday deck list and how it changed. The cuts here, if you look at it, are going to be the Madame Mim elephant next to the Yzmas. I trimmed two of the bells. I cut the When Will My Life Begin, and I cut one genie. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, the Madame Mim elephants were more for the mirror. You know, I thought like I could do a blurple impersonation where like Madame Mim elephant just like stalls a lot of boards. It was not enough mirror in the format to really warrant that. So I went down on that. And when you take out a 7 HP character, I thought Bell was a little bit less interesting. So I trimmed on that as well. But yeah, back to the Saturday deck list. I just want to like talk about all the cards here and just, have a conversation about it. But first of all, I want to talk about the library. I'll go through all the cards and talk about how they all play into this game plan later. But the main card here is library. This format has a lot of board stalls. Library asks your opponent a great question where it asks them to turn their characters sideways without gaining lore, and it always, always, always requires two challenges for them to actually be able to finish it off. And that's just a lot of tempo. Even if you end up losing the card totally, and you can usually get a card back by moving a character there. Even if you don't get a card back, just the amount of tempo it takes off your opponent is like really, really high. And it also breaks board stalls because when your opponent starts turning their character sideways, you have a lot of ways to punish that. And we will talk about those when we get in the cards. But I did just want to mention the library first. When I talk about all these other cards, keep the library in the back of your mind. So first up, Diablo. Not too much to say there. Everyone knows it's the classic Calhoun trap. You love going Diablo 1, Calhoun on 2. Your opponent, you can quest with it. And if your opponent wants to take it out, you always get your card back. It's fine. Captain Hook is more for when you need to do the challenging. So against Amber Steel, against other purple steels, when you need to kill their Calhouns and stuff, or they're the one doing the questing. That's what Captain Hook is for. The third one dropping the deck is actually Mulan, not the Palace Guard. Palace Guard, I don't love that. It is called Palace Guard, right? I think it's its name. Royal Guard, yeah. I don't play the Palace Guard, the Vanish one for because I think Tiago really put Vanish on the map. And he did excellent with his Purple Steel iteration. I thought it was great for the meta before, but now that it's the Purple Steel deck with the target on its back, Vanish characters go very high, very low in priority for me. I think a lot of decks are capable of dealing with Vanish characters a lot better now. So I wasn't super interested in Palace Guard. But anyway, back to Mulan. I think this card is super underrated. The matchups in this format, right? Post rotation, they live and die by the power of the power cards in the format. So, like, you think blue purple, you think like the Belle, the Elsa, the Hades. You think green blue, you think Clarabelle, right? For us, that's strength, and that's strength, urging fire, and Doc and Mulan just helps you see them faster. Like, whether you just no matter what you discard, you're always getting one card closer to the most powerful card in your deck. And when the format's generally low power, which is what happens when you only have 5 sets in rotation versus 8, Mulan helps you just see them more. Helps you see your better cards. And it also has like it's a really decent body. Like it trades with all the one drops in the format. It trades with Captain Hook. It trades with Rafiki. It trades with Basil. It trades with Tebow. It trades with Clarabelle. It trades with Bobby Zamirsky. Like it's just a lot of stuff that it's never just like dying for free when you like play it on one and quest with it. And it also enables us to play a higher uninkable count. It helps dump the bad cards out of our hands in some matchups. Like you never really want to play Genie against Green Blue, and it helps you just discard that. Helps you discard extra docks. Fire the Cannons is not a card that's relevant every matchup. So like you can also just like not only filter out your uninkables, but also just discard cards that are bad in the matchup, which Cobra helps with too. But I think Mulan just like adds another layer to that, and especially playing a one drop that helps fix your uninkable situation is just super super good. I really loved Milan in this tournament, and I would absolutely play it again going forward. And the last one drop in the deck is down at the bottom, actually not next to the other one drops, but it's Fire the Cannons. Clarabelle has to die. I think because other purple steel decks were higher on the vanish cards due to Tiago's success at the previous two major tournaments. Fire the Cannons kills all of those, which is really cool. It kills Lady against Amber Steel, so if they don't have their Tiana line, they love going Lady plus Bodyguard, and then Lady is their singer for strength. So killing their strength singer can help you actually flip that matchup back over. So it's even though a lot of people, a lot of the cards in Amber Steel just like have more than 2 HP, Lady being the one singer that they like to play on 3 when they're, Sans Tiana, Fire the Cannons being able to kill that is just like huge. It also denies Madame and Elephant against Blurple. If they go one drop into Sail, you can fire the cannons or one drop, they can't Elephant on 4. If they go no one drop into Tipo, you can fire the cannons to Tipo, and then they can't play Madame and Elephant on 4, and they have to play a Genie instead. An Elephant's just a much bigger problem for us. So I think Fire the Cannons is an all-star for Purple Steel right now. I would never play less than 2 until the format makes some more shifts. I think it's just a great card. Next up, 2 drops. We got Calhoun. This is just a classic purple steel card. I know some people are cutting it in the light of the purple meta. I do think that purple steel is just not super capable of playing the long game like purple is. I think they always kind of get the edge. It really depends on how much lore you can gain early. I think that it's just like super important for beating Amber Steel, and one of the reasons that purple steel is considered favored into Amber Steel. It lets us keep up in lore and keep clearing their board without. Like we can't really play the long game against Amber Steel. They do just get enough lore eventually. I think you do have to keep up with them, and Calhoun just enables that super well. It denies them questing, and if they do quest in your face, you get to just trade. It's just Calhoun. Doc, same kind of thing. No more thoughts needed. I won't ramble on about cards we already know about. So let's move on to the Nala. This is a massively important card against Blurple. Unfortunately, it does end up being a bit of a liability against Green Blue, not just because of Under the Sea, but because of John Silver. It is like it got turned reckless so many times in this tournament. It felt so bad against Green Blue. Another card I want to discard to Mulan and Cobra, right? But it can be like good on turn 2, where it's just questing for 3. You just need to get as much lore early as possible in those against those blue matchups. I just thought it was really solid, and against Blurple, which is really what it's in here for. Again, you don't need 4 copies. You really just want to play it on turn 2. It gets a lot worse later when the Elsas and the Bells start coming down. But you can get 3 and sometimes even 6 lore with this card fairly consistently, and that can just like completely swing the game against Blurple. I like it a lot, and I felt really good about including the 2 copies here. And again, our only 2 drops really are Calhoun and Nala. So that's 6 2 drops in our deck total. But we are playing 14 1 drops, and 4 of those 1 drops are Mulan. So if like we only have 2 1 drops in our hand and no 2 drops, you can play Mulan on 1 to try and find your third 1 drop to go double 1 on turn 2. And I only missed, like I only had to play a 1 drop on turn 2. Like I only like was ink inefficient on turn 2 maybe 1 or 2 times in the tournament. I thought these numbers were kind of good, and I would probably go up on a Fire the Cannons in the future to make that even more consistent. But I did feel like Nala was like just the best turn 2 against the blue decks, even if it's like way worse later on. I thought it was an all-star, and this was something I actually included in the deck from having played a lot of purple steel aggro over the weeks leading up to this event. With the Chromacon, like the gathering knowledge and wisdom and stuff, I thought like Nala was just like, oh, this is how I like beat blue decks. It's just like Nala on 2, and that's still true. It's really hard to justify like playing more Nala because I wouldn't want to trim Calhoun, and then you're playing like 4 Calhoun, 4 Doc, 4 Nala. That's just like so many 2 cost uninkables specifically, and then your turn 3 can start looking weird. And you don't want your turn 3 to look weird when you have Strength of Raging Fire. So yeah, I just felt like Nala was a great inclusion. I think it was really good. Yeah, anyway, Giant Cobra, no thoughts needed. You don't want to play this card on turn 3 in the format anymore. There's too much vanish answers. It is a 4/4, which is really great. It holds damage for Bell, but like just as a general note, you don't play this. Think since I'm not listening to anything that I need to have it turn off for some reason. But anyway, let me just like get some random audio playing real quick so it doesn't do that again. Yeah, so oh my god. All right. Sorry about that. So yeah, don't play Cobra on turn 3. Blah blah blah. Next up, John Silver. This again is something I played in Purple Steel aggro, the Chromacon deck, and I fell in love with it. And it's like super super good with Nala. You play Nala on 2. You play John Silver on 3. That Nala is gaining 6 lore. There's not much dealing with that, if anything. They have to have like the Captain Hook Calhoun line, right? Like the Purple Steel Mirror. That's kind of the only thing it does. Yeah, it's just like it was super good. Nala gains a lot of lore, but the one of the main reasons I included it. It's not just like that cute little trick. Again, we're not just like always Nala on turn two because we only play two copies. But it's just really good in the face of Madam M Elephant, which is one of the ways that Blurple denies us a lot of lore early on. So if you have to fire the cannons to try and deny like the one drop of the Tipo, but if they go like one drop Tipo Elephant, you can't. It's really hard to actually like have the double fire the cannons to clear both of those, right? So using John Silver on their Madam M Elephant makes it so that you actually get an extra quest down, and I think it's like a little bit better than White Rose in that aspect. Where like, yeah, White Rose will always gain you a lore later in the game, but John Silver could gain you two or even three or even like more than that with the Nala, right? You can gain a lot more lore if you play it on turn three. So like White Rose is better later, but like John Silver's more consistent as the actually three drop. And I just feel like your three drops need to be super impressive because like you need Strength Raging Fire as the follow up to that. So like yeah, I just thought John Silver was absolutely phenomenal. And it's also excellent with library in a weird way, which I'll get to later. I don't want to like talk too much about library while going over the cards, but it's like being able to stop your opponent from challenging your library can also make things really awkward. And it was just a phenomenal card. Next up is Lawrence, Ford Lawrence. This is where I like you start seeing where like I'm not playing any evasives, right? Lawrence is just like you look at Lawrence and then you look at the Genie Dragon, and like Lawrence just clears that card, right? It's just so much better in a vacuum than Genie Dragon. The fourth power just means so much, and questing for two is also like huge against the blue decks, and it's great for bell traps, right? They like there's so many 3/4s running around the format, or just like three power stuff that like just happens, and then like they're like, oh, I can quest if they kill it, I can trade back without worrying about damage, and then like boom, you hit with Lawrence, you heal it with Bell, and you kill something else. It's just like great for that, and yeah, the 4/4 stat line in this format is just absolutely chef's kiss, really really strong. And it was like the desire to play higher quality cards was one of the reasons I actually moved away from Dumbo, and like Lawrence versus Genie Dragon was like one of the first catalysts that made me go like I really just want to play better cards than evasives. If you see like the deck title, it's just good cards, purple steel. I just wanted to play good cards in a vacuum. I didn't want to build the Dumbo engine and play happy. Sorry, I'll include the cards I didn't include later, but like Lawrence was like the catalyst of I want to play a better card than Genie Dragon, and Lawrence is doing that. John Silver, I think, is a better card than White Rose most of the time. But yeah, next up, we have Lilo, and like, there's always a bit of a thing with like Lilo versus Jafar, right? Like, why am I playing this Lilo that quests for one when Jafar quests for two, and I just lambasted Genie Dragon for only questing for one when Lawrence quests for two. Part of it is that we're playing with full 12 one-drops, right? You just like sometimes go a little bit wider, and you want Lilo to be able to throw more power at the board. It's another great punisher for opponents turning sideways. So if you play the library and your opponent's like, okay, I do have to like get this library off the board, and they turn multiple characters into the library, and they're like, okay, your one drops, your Diablo, your Mulan can't just like challenge back into my guys. That's like how safe they feel when they kill the library. Lilo helps you get multiple things going, and I felt like the wide buff was more important to me than the two lore from the Jafar. And also, John Silver is an alien, and that does come up. I actually had a great game against Green Blue where I it was crazy too because like it was the only time it ever actually popped off. I'm probably like too high on this, but like it was I cleared their board. It's going to like their turn six, and I'm like, okay, they can't play Clarabelle, they can't play Basil. They're gonna play like they're just gonna like play a Baymax probably because I'd been pretty fortunate. I'd like drawn Fire the Cannons, drawn Strength Raging Fire, just kept their board clear. So my hand on turn four, I've got three ink is Lilo, Genie, Calhoun. And instead of inking the Lilo to play the Genie, I just play the Lilo because I have a John Silver on board. And they play Scrooge. I thought it was going to be Baymax, but they played a Scrooge, and I quested with Lilo. My John Silver gets Challenger too and just kills the Scrooge. And my opponent like read the card four times. It was just like the highlight of my day. Again, something super situational, but it was like a little bit of an edge for me for Lilo. The main reason is that you do just end up going a little bit wider because you play more one drops, but that does come up. You do get to use the Lilo synergy in this deck with John Silver being an alien. So yeah, moving on. Strength of Raging Fire. Just gonna skip back down to the three drops here. No notes needed. The heavy one drop here, one drop count here does help a lot. Just playing more one drops makes it so that you get more damage out of your strength, and you always want to be hitting that 4 damage threshold on turn 4 to be killing genies and stuff. It's like an important number. And yeah, just having extra characters helps there. Not too much to say. Moving on to Dolores. I think Tiago, when he topped on Friday, had switched from some of the Vanish stuff to Dolores. He was playing less Treasure Guardian. Yeah, being inkable is huge. Drawing cards is huge. And because of the way our deck is built, right, we play the Nala, we play the library. There's a lot of incentives for our opponent to turn sideways into us to make challenges. So characters just often exerted. I think Dolores was pretty great. Moving on to Genie. We're only playing three Genie. Why are we only playing three Genie? Isn't this one of the best cards in the whole game? One of the main reasons to be purple. It's a bit of a liability against green blue. You know, you fill your hand so you can't get around Clarabelle. It's got 2 power, so it gets under the seed, and it's uninkable. And it's often like not what we want to play on turn 4 over Yzma. And like the part of the problem is like if we have a Genie in our hand, we can't play Yzma because we can't like play Yzma, then on turn 5 play the Genie because then we draw a card and we've already used 4 of our resources and we just can't like empty our hand very well. So I was like feeling a little bit low on it. Yzma's not great into blue purple specifically because like you play Yzma on 4, they go Elsa on 5, or on like if they ramped, they always get 5 resources after our 4 resources. So like that kind of sucks. Genie's like okay against blue purple still. But yeah, it was just like I really really liked Yzma a little bit more. Genie also doesn't challenge well, so when we're playing the Nala, when we're playing the library, and we want to like hit our opponent back, only 2 powers is really not that good. So it doesn't really feed into the deck archetype super well. It's still a great card. I still wanted it at 3, but like I didn't miss having the 4th one. And again, we're playing the Fire the Cans, we're playing the Nala, we're playing 15 uninkables in this deck, and like yeah, we have Mulan, yeah, we have Cobra, but I did just like want to cut one, and I felt like the Genie was something I could just replace with a Dolores, and it ended up feeling really good. So I did not miss having the 4th Genie. But moving on to Yzma, this card was crazy. It's like I said, unfortunately super weak to Blurple. Your 4 ink turn always feeds on their turn 5, and if they just have Elsa, your Yzma is always going to die. It's always going to put 3 damage on their Elsa to set their bell, and it's just like really hard to get down against Blurple. But if you do high roll a little bit, you can strength their Genie, and if you were also able to like fire the cannons or Basil or something, you can just be able to deny the bell turn, and then this card just wins games. So when it draws 3 cards, it's like so insane. Yeah, and then you still have this 3/3 body behind to like threaten them to do it again. There were games where I went like Yzma on 3, they would Elsa and just like kill it, and then I play Yzma on 4, or sorry, Yzma on 4, and then I play second Yzma, and second Yzma, there's just like not that much standing up removal in the game outside of like some of the more controlly decks. Yzma just felt like super good. This deck is really low to the ground because we're not playing as many 5 drops as some of the other purple decks. I just thought it was really good. Again, it is just like not really where you want to be against Blurple, and that's part of what I think Purple Steel's problem is. I think like the Adumbo decks also have problems against Purple Steel, but even going this version, you do have some better early game against Blue Purple. Did I say Purple Steel against Blue Purple? But it's still just like not giving you enough juice most of the time against Blue Purple. If they don't have the Elsa and you stick the Yzma, you can absolutely beat Blue Purple, but it just like has to line up kind of perfectly, and it's a little hard. But yeah, Yzma was absolutely phenomenal. Loved having 4 of that card. Moving on to the one of Pluto. This is a little spicy. I wish I had actually played more Pluto. I would probably uh, trim a Lilo for a second Pluto or something like that. This was an addition between Friday and Saturday. So if you saw my Friday deck list, I was not playing Pluto. I put her in Saturday, but I'd never played with it before, and I was like kind of worried that I was just like getting too theory crafty with it. I'd never like tested it actually, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like throw one in. If it's bad, it's inkable. You know, it's better than Elephant at least, right? I thought it would be good to block Elsa's specifically. You know, blue purple just like and also purple steel just like sometimes start getting control of the board when they play that turn 5 Elsa and can start challenging in your stuff. But Pluto just having 5 power gets in the way of a lot of things, and because we have the fire, the cans, and the strength, sometimes their board is clear and they can't put damage into it first. Even then, like Elsa isn't usually getting through a Pluto, even if they can damage it first. He's still eating the damage, which is great. Yeah, and it also like it trades with the stuff that green blue is doing, right? It trades with Scrooge, it trades with Baymax, it eats their 5/5s. And there's also just like the general line of like you go Nala on turn 2, they want to challenge it, but you play John Silver on turn 3, then turn 4 you play Pluto, and you're just protecting your Nala or your double 1 drops. You're just protecting your wide board. So yeah, Pluto is actually pretty good. I would definitely run it back. Like I said, maybe Tremolilo, and yeah, it was just like a really solid card. And then yeah, finally the Bell. Sam, you have some applications against Blurple, where like you're just like being able to finish off Elsa's or whatever. But because we're not very evasive heavy, it can be hard for us to get damage on our characters against Blurple because most of the stuff they play ends up being evasive, especially in the mirror. Sometimes it comes up against Amber Steel. I think it's a super good card. It just like comes up in random situations. So it's inkable, so it's never bad. It is nice to just like have a 4/4 that quests for 2 sometimes. Obviously, like I do love Lawrence. Sometimes you pay 2 more for a Lawrence, and that's just how it goes. That just does not cooperate while my mic is working apparently. But yeah, so those are the cards in the deck. And then, like I said, last but not least, I do want to talk about library. this just buys a lot of time on your characters, and it buys you a lot of lore. And lore is the name of the game. You have to be able to race these blue decks. You have to be able to race other purple decks. You have to be able to race other amber steel decks. Buying time buys you lore. It makes your opponent's decisions incredibly difficult. So this is a card that can just make your opponent's life hard and just give you a huge edge because they're going to make mistakes when they're trying to play into this library. And it's also like, on turn three, you really want to play a three cost card, right? You don't want to play, I'm sorry, not a three cost card, a three cost character. You really just like want to have a singer for strength on turn three. Um, but so you have to think of this more like a four cost card. Like you could play it as a follow up to your three drops. Like you play the John Silver, then you play a library. But sometimes like your opponent's not playing a threatening board. Sometimes they're a blue deck. You don't need a singer. You can just get down the library, and they're like, ooh, now I'm behind on board, and I have to chew through like the one drops, and I have to take 8 HP off that library. And if like on turn four or five, you play the library, then you like play a Calhoun and like move two characters to a library. Suddenly that board gets very, very hard to deal with. And that's like an okay line when you don't have the strength or when you don't need to represent the strength super well. And it's also like, there are times where library is bad, but it's okay. Like it's an inkable card. It's not like a huge liability all the time. It's super good, but it is just like a way to mind control our opponents into turning their card sideways and like giving us value on our Calhouns, giving us value on our Bell, things like that. So that's why the library felt like super core to me, and it does just like it's usually not card draw. It's like really hard to actually get this card to draw cards in this current format, and that's like why I think I didn't do like super well. But even then, like I felt like this was the best possible version of Purple Steel that I could play. I just do feel like, and I think the results ended up kind of showing that, but Purple Steel is maybe not as well positioned in the format as a whole as we all thought it was going into this event. Yeah, and then, like I said, one more thing about library is like a really bad top deck when you're behind. Like if you have no board and you're just like trying to draw outs, like library can be really bad. But like the whole deck is, purple steel in general performs poorly when you're top decking from behind. Like strength is a terrible top deck while you're behind. That doesn't mean you're not going to play strength raging fire. So yeah, library just like kind of being a pseudo three drop, pseudo four drop, pseudo five. It's just like so flexible. It's kind of doing what Dumbo's doing, where like, but like at a faster rate. Like Dumbo doesn't really turn on until like turn five, turn six. But library can turn on like turn three, turn four. And I just thought it was great. Actually, I was like, nobody else is on library, and I'm just like, I think this card is really good. I tried it out, and I just like, I felt really good about it. So I would recommend like the supporting pieces around this are important. The Lilo to like be able to turn wide boards into punishers for the challenges. The John Silver to be able to protect the library. Yeah, I just think it's if also you can go like library on three and then like Yzma on four, and then like if your opponent has the Elsa, they have to like challenge into the Yzma, not the library, and it just gains lower. It's just like imagine it's like a 0/8 character that quests for one. Like, would you play a 3 cost 0/8 character that quests for one? Probably because it sings strength and has spell damage. But like even without those things, like a 0 cost trade is still like good. And I just like would like to show that like I think library is very good. I think Yzma is something to think about when you're not on Dumbo. I think that Lawrence is better than Genie Dragon. I don't think Happy's a good. Anyway, let's just move right on to the cards I didn't include, right? And first up is the Evasives, the Happy, the Smee and the Jafar, the Genie Dragon, the Dumbo. I think these are just not good cards. Not Dumbo, right? Dumbo is great, but you have to play these subpar cards to activate him, and it's like a low economy format. Like you're usually not like having a whole bunch of cards in hand and on board when you get to the mid game. There's a lot of times that Dumbo just comes down and he's just like drawing one card by himself and then dying. You're not like holding up like sorry, you do get into board stalls, and that's where Dumbo's good. But when you play this style of deck and say we are not board stalling, I'm playing a library, I'm playing Loquations, I'm questing Nala in your face. You have to challenge me, and I'm going to challenge you back, and we're going to not play the stally game. Dumbo is terrible in those kind of formats, and that's why I felt so good in the mirror against the Dumbo purple steals, is that they don't get to play that kind of game that they want where they stall out. They just like all their evasive cards are just like lower quality to me. Happy against Mulan. I'm much happier to use Mulan's effect than to have Happy be an evasive. Nala versus Smee or whatever. If I fire the cannons, your Smee or your Jafar, you're pretty sad about that. If you play a Genie Dragon and I play a Lawrence, that's always better for me. I think all the evasive cards that turn on Dumbo are just like not super powerful by themselves. And that's why I was just like super happy to not have to buy the Dumbos and just like do this instead. And even though like I was like planning to come to the event and like if I did poorly on Friday, just buy Dumbos, admit my mistakes, and play Dumbo. I really felt like this deck kicked off on Friday, and I was very happy to run it back. Next up, Dwarf Mine. I didn't play Dwarf Mine. The main thing is you just need characters for Strength Raging Fire. I don't love skipping turn two and not playing a character. And if you don't have Doc, it can be really hard to like play play Dwarf Mine on turn 4 because like you're just like what, playing a Calhoun and a Dwarf Mine on 4, and then like docking like I don't know. I just think you like I want to play a 4 drop on turn 4. I want to play Genie. I want to play Yzma. So I don't want to play Dwarf Mine on 2 because it doesn't fuel my Strength Raging Fire. I don't want to play Dwarf Mine on 3 because I want to play my 3 drop for Strength Raging Fire. I don't want to play Dwarf Mine on 4 because I have 4 drops I want to play. And then on turn 5, it's like I'm playing my location now, and like what am I moving a dock? I just think library is doing that, and I thought I didn't want to like lower my character count so much when I'm already playing library. I'm already playing Fire the Cannons. Just didn't think Dwarf Mine was that impressive. Also, I'm not playing Happy. I'm not interested in Happy. So yeah, that's why I think library is like a good location, and I wasn't super high on Dwarf Mine. Next up, the big one I'm missing here is Elsa, right? Why aren't I playing Elsa? It's because I'm already mind controlling my opponent into turning sideways. I'm already saying, here's my Nala. I'm already saying, here's my library. Here's my Diablo. Like, you have to stop me from questing. You have to kill. I'm questing in front of you. You have to get my lore off the board. I don't need Elsa to turn your character sideways when you're turning them sideways for me. And also the lower curve of the deck, not playing as many 5 drops, only playing the 2 Bell, just lets us use that extra ink for library as well. Lets us double spell more often. I just didn't like the more and more I played this version of the deck, the more and more I'm like, oh, Bell is something I want. Elsa is really not. And it is a little awkward, like not having as many evasives as the Dumbo deck. You can get into situations where they're just like questing in your face. All their stuff is evasive and you're only evasive in Genie. That does happen. But not always. I still feel like you're favored in the matchup overall. And against like the Purple Seal specifically, their characters aren't evasive on your turn. Like they just have the Genie Elsa, and it's just like, okay, you can quest with Genie in my face. Your Genie only has 2 power. Like I'm not super worried about your Genie because it's not chopping down my library. Your Elsa only has 2 power. It's really hard for Genie and Elsa, the actually evasive characters, to go after my library consistently. Just didn't really care about them. And if you're not like killing my stuff, I don't have to go and kill your stuff. And finally, the last card I didn't include here, which has been popping up, is Hypnotic Strength. This is definitely a card that's good. It's really good at killing Vanish characters, and like I do think people are moving away from the old Tiago list where it's very Vanish heavy. So I'm not super interested in it, but it is like another non-character card, right? Another card that isn't fueling my Strength Raging Fire. Another card that can just like clog in the way and not be canning me lore. So like already having Fire the Cannons, I think is really more where I want to be because Fire the Cannons not only answers Vanish characters but also kills Clarabelle, and that's just like super important right now. But also including library in the deck is not a character for Strength Raging Fire, so I didn't want to like go even more into Hypnotic Strength. I think Lilo is the combat trick that I value most often. So with Fire the Cannons feeling good enough into those Vanish characters, I just didn't think I needed Hypnotic Strength. But yeah, that's the deck that I played. That's why I played it. Those are the cards that I thought were cool. I would love, like I said, I have not played too much Lorcana in 2025. I really just kind of came back from the format over the past couple of weeks and speed ran relearning the format. But I did just want to put this out here. We're going to talk about Nala. We're going to talk about John Silver. We're going to talk about Lawrence. We're going to talk about Purple Steel without Dumbo. So I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like this deck. Please talk to me in the comments. Please send me messages. I love just talking about this, and I hope we can maybe like salvage this from Milwaukee. But I do just think the Purple Steel is not looking good into the blue, purple, and green, blue meta game. But if you want to beat Purple Steel Mirrors or you want something fun to play at your set championships, I think this is a great place to start for playing Purple Steel. Thank you everyone for watching. Appreciate you hanging out. This has been Ryan F. and Miles, and as you can see above, 55% spicy. This is the spiciest Purple Steel deck you'll see all day. Have a good one, guys.